The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
From Mallory Square in Key West to the Governor's Mansion in Tallahassee and all points beyond, you're listening to the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com, your source for all things related to the craft beer community in the Sunshine State. And now your host, Dave Butler.
Welcome back to another episode of the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com. This is Dave, your host and author. We are all the way up on the Florida-Georgia line, just north of Jacksonville today, in the small, tiny island community of Fernandina Beach. Now, yes, it is north of Jacksonville. You still have about 45 minutes to an hour once you go north of Jacksonville before you actually get to Georgia itself. But there's plenty of stuff up there. Fernandina Beach is one of those locations, and it is the home of Mocama Brewing. Now, I have had my eyes on Mocama for quite some time. Super excited to finally get there, which makes me very, very happy. If you've never heard of it, not too big a shock, obviously, unless you're from the Panhandle. You probably heard of it there. But if you're in Central or South Florida, probably haven't been able to go to this amazing brewery that is in an old car dealership. And trust me, when you're driving down the main road in Fernandina Beach, you can tell when you're getting there because it's got these massive tilted windows that they have kept all of these years. Now, the four co-founders that created Mocama, they came from Georgia. Ironically enough, a lot of them actually had their start at Creature Comforts, which has been on the Florida Beer Podcast before, if you remember, many, many years ago when we interviewed them at Dogfish Head, Miami. They have since left. The current owners are Andrew and Kim Batey, and I know that Kim has a hospitality background. Andrew is a tech guru, and unfortunately I was not able to interview either of them, but they did set me up with some amazing people, including their head brewer, Justin Southwell, Nicholas Johnson, he's a brewer and production manager. Justin Conway is the assistant brewer, and you're going to hear a lot of questions given to Elliott Terral. Now, he is the coffee shop manager at Mocama Brewing. Yes, they have a coffee shop there, and it's the only brewery that I've ever seen that opens at 7:30 in the morning. They have a full kitchen. Was unable to interview their head chef. Unfortunately, they were pretty busy that day. And full coffee and full beer, plus some liquor. You're going to hear about all of that as we talk about the nature of what a brewery is and how that has changed in the past decade or so here in the state of Florida and across the country. But a lot of that is going to have to deal with the coffee shop in this episode, because if you know anything about brewers, they possibly love their coffee more than they love their beer. And in fact, there were no beers being consumed at the table. It was a coffee table when we did this interview. But I've spoken a lot. Definitely want to get into this with our friends Justin, Nicholas, Justin again, and Elliott, all from Mocama Brewing in Fernandina Beach. And the first thing that you're going to hear me do is completely murder the name of the town, completely embarrassed. And I do want to apologize to everybody at Mocama, everybody in Nassau County, Florida, and especially everybody in Fernandina Beach for butchering the name just so badly. But once you get past my verbal murder, it's a lot of great information. So enjoy. I guess I will start with, because I just always assumed Jacksonville was Jacksonville. Is Jacksonville really Jacksonville? Or is Fernandina Beach far enough away to where this section of the state is kind of its own separate thing?
So yeah, Fernandina, I feel like is its own separate thing from Jacksonville. We historically, even going back with like football, we kind of been the small guy, smaller high school. So there's always been a little bit of competitiveness between like Jacksonville and Fernandina. They think we're like the lazy island surfer guys, but you got that in like the Jacks Beach area. So like Fernandina and Jacks Beach would be more like brother, sister. Then they got the city part of Jacksonville, which is completely different. And I mean, it's changed a lot over the last 20 years or so, whereas this area has gotten a lot more touristy and a little bit more gentrified. You know what I'm saying? So
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And so obviously building a business like this, you have to kind of take both of those into account. And Mocama is kind of interesting because it's got everything. It's got the beer program, obviously, but it's also got a kitchen. And it's also got a coffee program. And I kind of want to start with the coffee program first because I've seen a lot of things in breweries. I have not seen something like that before. So how did that even get started, other than the fact that the brewers at this table desperately need coffee to survive?
I think
as two of them are drinking it as we speak.
I think it's a business model you're definitely going to see more of. You see it a lot in traditional coffee shops starting, where bars are becoming like the nighttime sort of activity. As a business, coffee shops are struggling to survive. You'll have a lot of overhead with space and things like that. And your business prime coffee hours ends in the afternoon. And that's a lot of time that you have just dead space for the business where you're not making money. And I think it can be the same true for a tap room. You know, there's a lot of hours during the day early in the morning where people aren't drinking beer, but you're still spending money on that space. So I think it's a great opportunity for a business to sort of find those holes that they could fill and earn some extra money.
And that makes a lot of sense because obviously the building opens at 7:30 for the coffee shop. First of all, is somebody illegally allowed to purchase beer here at 7:30 in the morning?
In Florida, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because it depends on where you are. It gets a little bit dicey.
County, yeah.
And do you see a lot of people coming in at 7:30 wanting a beer, or to flip that, coming in the later hours of the day when you mention a coffee shop is traditionally not operating and wanting coffee?
I think it kind of depends on the space. You know, Fernandina is definitely a unique environment. I'm actually a transplant to this area. I'm originally from Texas.
Oh.
And in the city I'm from, Austin, we'd have a lot of third shifters who'd get off and they'd want a beer when the coffee shop opened. And same by vice versa. You know, those people would also want coffee before they would come into work. And so they'd come by the coffee shop at 10 p.m. and get a coffee. So there is business there, but not a ton, I'd say.
Gotcha. Do you find that you're attracting the same people? The people that are interested in a high quality coffee program end up being the same people that are also interested in something locally brewed.
Definitely, 100%. I'd say most people that seek out craft brewery, you know, they want to know the story behind the beer, styles. They're curious individuals, and those people are also interested in third wave coffee. They're curious about where the coffee comes from, how it's sourced, things like that.
Well, how do you tell that story? Because that is actually kind of interesting, because obviously with the beers that are on tap, the beers that are in cans right here, we can look to our side and see exactly where that comes from. But with the coffee, obviously there's no coffee being grown in the United States. Like nothing. Most of what's in a beer you could probably start to get here in Florida thanks to UF. Do you have a lot of people that are interested in those stories, and how do you get those stories across?
That can be pretty difficult. I'd say it's not a huge percentage of people that are interested too much in where the coffee comes from. I think more interested customers are in wanting to know if your coffee is sort of being roasted locally. They want to make sure that the money is sort of staying in the same area. It's kind of hard to like extrapolate that and get them to care about how the coffee is grown, the farms they come from. You kind of have to work hand in hand with the roaster to sort of teach that story.
Interesting.
I've gone before with roasters to origin, to like meet the farms, meet the farmers, workers, exporters, importers. And it's a very interesting story that I think anyone that's interested in any sort of beer or coffee can learn a lot from.
Interesting. Where do you get the roasts from?
We use Bold Bean based out of Jacksonville.
Okay, so it's not too terribly far
No.
away, obviously. And when it comes to, I would assume that you have more than just the one roast.
Yeah, we do different blends from a singular roaster though.
Okay, but you have different blendings.
Yeah.
How do you decide on the blends? Because obviously these gentlemen are going to want to know what's going on, not necessarily for the beers, but specifically for your own consumption. But how do you program something like that? Do you have seasonal changes? Do you have drinks in mind when you go through that process?
I think in terms of a blend, you kind of want it to be similar. A coffee drinker is going to be a customer that comes in daily, and they want consistency. They want the same thing. And by that same measurement, you want to pick a flavor profile that's appealing to as many people as possible. So generally, you'll try to find a flavor profile that's like chocolate, caramel, that sort of thing that anybody will enjoy, as opposed to like something that's fruity and wouldn't be sort of like a daily drinker sort of style roast.
Gotcha. So if you say people are coming in here daily, do you find that the coffee side tends to be more local than the beer side?
But some of those people that'll come in, and I'll, because obviously you can see through to production, and there's like people hang out on their laptops and whatnot, and we'll see them like maybe the 10 or 12 people that come in here and do work on their laptops transition from coffee throughout their workday, and then it hits 2:00 and they're winding down, and they'll start ordering a couple of craft beers to like round their day out.
Interesting. So it really is used as a third space in more of the traditional coffee shop sense than it is the hangout of a brewery, or at least early to mid afternoon.
Definitely.
Interesting. Now, obviously, you have much more than just a straight drip coffee. With those drinks, which is obviously immensely popular for especially people like me, how much variation do you get in that? How much experimentation are you expected to provide, and so on?
We do a seasonal menu that will change up 4 times a year.
Okay.
There'll be about 5 to 8 drinks. Those are sort of where the experimentation happens. We do here at Mocama what's called third wave coffee, which has a lot of structure to it. Before, sort of coffee shops kind of did whatever they wanted. They'd sort of make their own recipes. You'd go to one coffee shop and latte would be, this certain style of drink, and then you'd go to a different coffee shop and it'd be wildly different. And third wave kind of cemented what, this is what a coffee shop, this is what a latte should be. And so the seasonal menu is our way to sort of like experiment and try something different.
Interesting. And do you see people, because obviously the craft beer community, somebody will go to several breweries in an area and so on. But even driving down from 95 to here, we pass by at least 1 or 2 non-chain, never seen them before, probably never see them again kind of coffee places. And they're really starting to pop up in our area. Do you see people are starting to travel for coffee and kind of tick off coffee shops the way that more beer drinkers tick off breweries?
I don't know if it's as popular as beer. There's definitely people that are in the coffee community that they'll see. I mean, I'm the kind of person where I travel. I always go to coffee shops and try to find what's unique or what people are doing differently. As like a general populace, I think coffee is kind of one of those things where you seek out what's close to home, what's familiar. Coffee shops to me are more of like community spaces. You're hanging out with your neighbors, you're hanging out with family, friends, sort of thing. And you find what's your comfort, Now,
obviously, the last and most important question is, since we are sitting at a table with brewers, how often do they come to you looking for ingredients for either a stout or a coffee blonde or something like that?
Anytime they're trying to do something unique that they can influence coffee, they're always reaching out to me.
Well, since you all seem to love it so much, how often do you have or are even expected to have a coffee beer on tap?
I would say that it's a coffee flavored beer down in Florida is a little bit harder of a sell. Stouts aren't as big down here as other places around the country, and it's really just kind of you gotta weigh between it being the new thing, and so it's going to get bought right away because it's that's a new thing. And then if you have too much of it, then you end up sitting on it for a long period of time. So
Yeah. And I was going to say, since you are technically a beach town and it's almost 100 degrees out there right now, your stout isn't moving a whole lot, is it?
it is when it first comes out, and it depends on time of year too. Stouts are going to do better in the spring, St. Patrick's Day, or the winter, time frame. But this time of year, it's really if it's it's that new thing. So
there's still people out there that they'll only drink dark beer, stout beer, porters. So those people always exist, and I hear from them quite often that there aren't enough dark beers in Florida. And you can, obviously you can see why, the temperature, but those people are out there. They are a part of the demographic, and they're always beating for more. So
I've been known to take a stout to the beach. I'm okay with that. Has no problem with me.
Why
not? So being this North Florida, North Jacksonville, coffee-centered sort of location, what really is what people are coming in for? What is what people are kind of looking to and expecting you to always have on tap?
Oh God!
Whether it be a light and fruity coffee, it sounds like you're going more for the desserty, those heavier. Honestly, the stout notes.
Yeah,
It seems like the stout notes are going for the coffee. Is that?
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I think here our customers definitely want something on the sweeter side. Like I said before, my background's mostly in third wave coffee, and I feel like that sort of coffee style is one that you have to grow up. I feel coffee in general is, I feel like, something you have to grow up around. It's probably true for beer as well. If you don't grow up drinking coffee, you don't feel the appeal of a coffee shop. And I think the customer base here, they're mostly interested in the sweeter stuff, what they've experienced sort of wherever they travel, like the Starbucks of the world sort of thing.
Exactly. That makes sense. So, and what are the beer trends here? Because I've always said Jacksonville itself is a cream ale town. I've never seen a city with more cream ales than Jacksonville. It's the weirdest thing.
We are, without a doubt, known for mostly one thing. That's Cosmico. That's been the flagship beer since pretty much the beginning.
Yeah, Cosmico, and then we flipped out one called Coconut Cosmico, where we did like 25 pounds. 25 pounds for like 4 barrels, or like 6 pounds per barrel of coconut on the Cosmico. And I thought it was like a terrible idea at first, but then I tasted it and I was like, wow, it was like super tropical, being that Cosmico is not super bitter. It's more of a New England IPA.
Okay.
Kind of worked. And we just released 4 barrels of that and sold it out in like 2 weeks or something like that.
The unique thing about the Coconut Cosmico is I live with and know several people that aren't beer drinkers and are definitely not hazy IPA drinkers that absolutely loved Coconut Cosmico.
It's amazing. It sometimes that itch is there, and then sometimes it does enough to sort of transform the style just enough to where it becomes something kind of slightly different in a lot of ways. Just being the coffee, bringing the coffee back into this. The one thing I've never seen, and I absolutely love Deviant Wolf for doing this, is a coffee sour ale.
That's one of my favorites.
Sour Manjaro is absolutely incredible. Have you ever tried?
No, sorry. I think so. That label or that I recognize it, but I don't even think I've tried it. And I've had a lot of beers. I'll have to get on that.
It's interesting, but it's funny to bring the sour beers into that because they have radically changed. As a sour beer, 5-6 years ago is nothing like what it is today. Today, it's actually approachable. You know, when they first really started coming out, it felt like a dare. Like, can you get through this?
The sour market is enormous. I mean, beer lovers will drink the sours. They're always looking for something new. But the people who are not really into beer flavors, like general, the malt, the hops, love the sour beers. It's such a huge thing. It's got to be, for any brewery, I'd guess, usually like a third of sales. Maybe 40%, because there's just so many people who they might come with the typical beer lover, but they're the friends, and they're not going to have wine or seltzer. Sours there's just so many, and they're so excited about all the different flavors. So
it's definitely a cult following, I think, with sours. We have two that we put here. One of them is almost one of those dare ones, but yeah, they both have their fan base. And when we don't have them, these guys behind us hear about it every day. When is it coming back in? When are you getting it? And they have a very loyal fan base. The sours do.
Interesting.
Yeah, we've got what do we got on now? The sea salt and lime sour. It's more like face puckering, and we've just got a liquor program on, and we found that, like, what do we have? The margaritas on tap now, which just blows my mind. But we mix the margarita mix with half the sea salted lime sour ale, and it's pretty amazing. We had that yesterday after work. Maybe too many. I don't know, but
maybe.
Okay, I'm sold. Absolutely. That's got to be difficult to bring a liquor program into here. What was Nassau County like trying to bring that aspect in? Because, you've got the beer's enough, then you've got food, which is completely different. I would assume, would a coffee shop be under a food license, or is that a completely separate license entirely?
That's actually a great question. I think it's food. Yeah.
Yeah. But with a mixed drink program, that's, I mean, how much ponying up, and first of all, was the city okay with all of this? Has the city been enjoying what you've been doing and growing here? That's always a big question mark, unfortunately.
I mean, getting a liquor license is going to be tough anywhere. Is the city okay and the county okay with it? Yes. It was very easy.
Yes. So you can, what I saw the yes was, and what you heard the yes was, are very different. It's amazing how many wrenches governments love to throw into things.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, like the TTB label approval process is like, I've spent the last month trying to get 4 labels approved, and the labels are just going up from a 12 ounce to a 16 ounce can. And I think just sometimes they just make these things hard to do, so you eventually not do it, especially in the light beer.
So it's the same label.
Yeah.
It's just 4 ounces of the same liquid that's going in, and they're still giving you a hard time.
Yeah, then you need to resubmit the entire label, and it has to say a pint, especially being that we have an Amelia Light, a light beer. So we had to send off for nutritional analysis. So then figuring out what they want, what the TTB actually wants me to put on the label, they'll give me like clues as to what they want. They won't give me an actual like example. So maybe it needs to be 1 1/4 pint or per 12 fluid ounces to scale that up from the 12 to the 16, but it's been fun.
If you've ever had to get a permit to do any work around your house, it's the same growing pains.
Gotcha. I'm interested in this liquor license. Why did you decide to go that route? Because obviously you've got enough going on with 3 different avenues. Where did the fourth one come from?
I would put that with the sour argument. Like, you've got sour beers that are now really causing people who might not have spent time in a tap room coming with their friends, coming to having a good time like everybody else. I mean, why not have liquor at that point? There's a whole bunch of people who, they don't go to the breweries. It's never been their scene, but they'll go to other places because there's liquor there and they like the mixed drinks. why not have those people in your tap room too? Like, everyone wants to have fun. Everyone wants to hang out.
That's a good point. And I hate to ask this question, but I know that my wife loves a good espresso martini. Is that something that you've been asked for and are looking to do?
That's something we'd definitely consider. Yeah.
This is pretty new for us.
Yeah, this is a new thing for us to try to sort of figure out. And so this is brand new, last like a month or so. So we're still trying to figure out what our customers want, but we're open to anything.
So there we go with part one of our two-part interview at Mocama Brewing. Should have warned you about that earlier. I do apologize. And we'll pick it up next week, talking a little bit more about what makes a good brewery and a lot of really fun stuff past that. In the meantime, if you have not done so, the best place to get the information about when that episode will release is on our social media pages. We're on Facebook, we're on Threads, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, and just search for Florida Beer Blog. You'll find us. It's pretty easy to do so, which is nice. If you're on the internet, just go to floridabeerblog.com or floridabeerpodcast.com. And if you go to Florida Beer Podcast, you'll see that we are a proud member of the good people at Flintstone Media. If you are looking for an all-in-one company to help you get your podcast off the ground, Flintstone Media are the people to go to. Jemmy and her team are fantastic about taking your expectations and what you want to sound like and making them a reality. And you can go to flintstonemedia.com to get that started. We are also on pretty much every podcasting app you can think of. We're on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on iHeart. We're on Amazon. We're on Audible. We're pretty much everywhere you can find us. So if you can, go ahead and subscribe. And if you definitely can, leave a nice 5-star review. That really does help us get the word out about everything that we're trying to do here with Florida Craft Beer. Our intro announcer is Jeff Brosovich. Field producer is Steve Piccola. Executive producer for Flintstone Media and Grand High Poobah is Jemmy Lagagne. This is David Butler, your host and author. We will be back next week with part 2 from Mocama Brewing in Fernandina Beach, Florida. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time, and drink Florida Craft.